It actually was $300,000 that he had been sending to them over the past 3 years. Good thing for him, he had been keeping detailed notes, and this is a very, very intelligent person. This isn't someone he just got suckered in. So what I didn't know was that I was actually a part of the scam. I was actually involved in the scam, unbeknownst to me. All right, so just to kind of recap, and then I'll jump into the program, but how was I a part of the scam? So what I found out was that the person purporting themselves to be this client called me and set up the appointment to the house. So for all the time, for some weeks, I was speaking with someone else, but it wasn't him. But he would when I would go to the door, the storyline would match. But there were just little things that were weird that made me ask questions, dig deeper, and then come to find out he had been, he was this go-between people. They were setting up appointments for me and other real estate professionals to come to help him sell the house quickly, to then put the money in that bank account so they could take it. And this is just to kind of share that it's not, how can someone do this? This gentleman worked for NSA, was a retired, helped interpret Morse code a long, long time ago. I mean, a very, very bright individual. So these type of scams, just in general, and this is an older one, they're a lot more, we'll get into some of the very, very complex scams that they have now. At this time, they were not as complex. I mean, the criminals are getting smarter, faster, and just like you think, this is their full-time job. So they are not part-timers. They are working 16-hour shifts, 7 days a week. They have call centers. If you ever see the movie The Beekeeper, that with Felicia Rashad, that's a movie that highlights it, that touches on it. But this right here, what I'm showing on the screen, is just one of the documents that we had turned in when we had compiled. When I got him to finally give me his files that he had, but he had records of him going to FedEx, sending FedEx packages, sending money orders, to all different addresses, all different names, all over the country, all over the world. He was sending bank wires. These are just some of the FedEx receipts. So these are like $100, $100 Amazon gift cards. That's a whole different scam. We'll get into that one. These are Apple gift cards. Father Todd was sharing a story that he experienced when he was working at Apple and seeing this firsthand. From the store side, and seeing people come in with some urgent situation, they need to get Apple gift cards, or in this case, this was Amazon gift cards. And then you scratch the number, you give it to the person, and then once they get the number, the money's spent. They're not leaving to the store, going to the store themselves. They put it in their system, and they have people already at the store ready to spend the money that you just spend the gift card that you just got. This is another one, activated. All these $100, $2,900, whatever this is, in Landover Hills buying money orders. CVS, 500, Amazon gift cards. I've got a lot, it goes on and on. These are just copies, these are just additional. He had everything. He kept very detailed records. And the money orders were always made payable to different names. They were being mailed to different places. This is not these scams are not one-man band type of thing. So, and I will just say that we are not smarter than them. So it's best to just don't entertain the conversation. Everything that you say is giving any information, and they're just putting notes in the system, and then it could be 6 months, it could be 6 years later, they already have those old notes, and they will kind of configure those with new notes on where you live now, your address, who's deceased in the house. They know all of this, but these are just, how much are these? $1,000, $1,000, $1,000, $500, $1,000. Just money orders, copies of money orders that he was sending over years. $3,500 Wells Fargo bank transfer, $2,000 Wells Fargo bank transfer, $2,000, $10,000 Wells Fargo bank transfer, $4,000. Now, in this particular case, again, he was under the guise that he had won some lottery, he had won some new cars. He had to pay storage. He was told he had to pay storage on these cars at $1,500 a month. He liquidated his entire savings, his retirement, and he was sending his monthly Social Security and retirement checks every month to these folks. And this went on for some years. And then ultimately, the ultimate one was about to happen, was that we were going to sell this house. He was going to get the $300,000 from this. They were going to get that, and then he was going to be homeless. That was, so we were also selling the old house, but then also helping him buy a new house. And he was paying cash for it, a downsized house. So we actually had him open a different bank account at a small credit union. And then I actually, overstepped, but had the title company kind of hold the funds for a few extra days because the new closing was happening like 5 days later. And there was not a whole lot left over, from the proceeds, and so he was left with like 30,000. And then instead of losing everything, he at least got a new house. The 30,000 went into this new account, but I did find out that maybe a month or so later he had closed that new account. And I caught up with him, and he said he's fine. He said he hasn't sent, and we had him change his numbers. But these people were coming to the house. They were sending people to the house. Under all different things, pizza delivery people. And he was like, well, I don't eat pizza. They're like, well, it's your pizza. And when they would come in, they would bring notes for him. So the people these scammers have boots on the ground. So they will visit you under the guise of different vendors, different people, just collecting information. They knew when he was home. His phone was ringing constantly. He would have to unplug the phone because his phone was ringing constantly. And they were asking him, why we've been trying to reach you. You're going to lose out if you don't. We need $2,000 more by the end of tomorrow, or else. And he shared with me, again afterwards, that he felt that after like the first 10,000, I guess, if he were to quit now, then he would have been a fool. And what if it were true? And so he did not want to lose. He didn't want to admit that he had been made a fool of. So he kept going. It's almost like a gambling type of thing, kind of. But he wasn't a gambler. He just was, taken advantage of. He got suckered in and didn't want to lose and end up losing hundreds of thousands. So that money's all gone. We did get the people involved. That money's gone. He won't get that back. But he has a new house. His retirement money is intact. He's now rebuilding his savings, and his expenses are significantly less than his income. So he's in a good place right now. But as you can see, lots of $8,000 bank transfer, $2,500. I mean, we have lots and lots of these receipts of this stuff. So I want to jump back to the presentation and kind of give you an overview. Still see, okay. So $3.1 billion. That's the number. So we're not talking a few $100s, a few $100,000, a few $100 million. We're talking $3.1 billion in scams, specifically just for seniors in 2023. 88,000 cases a year of scams and fraud. But using that number, that only 1 in 44 gets reported. Why? Because we're embarrassed. We don't want to share, and we don't share with our family either. My client had to live with his son, a grown son. His son was 55, and his 55 or 60. And his son would say, "Dad, are you sure?" And he told me that he told his son basically, "Mind your business, boy. Almost stay out of grown folks' business." But the son was trying, and then the son, he minded his business. And then there's Medicaid fraud scams, Social Security scams that happen as well.
No, but is it just limited to elderly?
But the elderly, the baby boomers are more susceptible. One of the reasons they're more susceptible because they are more intentional and more responsible with bills and that sort of thing. So any little loose end, the baby boomers want to take care of it right away, handle business. They don't want to owe anyone anything. They don't have any outstanding bills. And so that is a way that baby boomers are particularly targeted, because a younger person may not care, send me the collections, I guess, if I owe you $10, but baby boomers don't operate that way. So they're going to pay that bill, and sometimes that by paying that bill then opens up their bank account or their credit card to additional charges that they didn't authorize. So some of the common scams, there are a bunch, but these are just some of them. Fake calls demanding information or payment. You might see that for your daughter's in jail and she has a bond, or we're going to repossess his car, your son's car. Those are popular. Threats of arrest for unpaid taxes. Fake Microsoft calls. You'll see like Norton antivirus calls, and then they say, well, let me send you a link, click the link, and I'm gonna take over your computer so I can make sure we get these bugs, these viruses off of your computer. And meanwhile, they're downloading all of your personal information and just matching it up with their, one thing to consider is that these frauds they're not necessarily trying to hit a home run on the first phone call. They might, but if they can just get a little bit of information, a little bit of data, they can match up a date of birth with the last four of a social, then the first two of the social, then a year later the middle three, match that up with a credit card, they already probably have the address. There are things that there's public information that you can go online and public information. I can just put in a consumer anyway, can put in your phone number and find everything, all of your former addresses going back 50 years, all the people related to that address, the people that used to live in the house, the people you sold the house to, when you sold it, how much you paid for it. I mean, all of that information is readily available, on the open. So if they're compiling data, they're very good. Deceptive home loans and title fraud, and then the lottery one. And those lottery sweepstakes scams take a lot of different forms, and they'll be from various countries. This particular one happened to be, they told him it was a Jamaican lottery thing, but they're all over, South American. It's just whatever the name they want to use at the time. So this is some Social Security and Medicare fraud. They pretend to be from the Social Security Administration or Medicare. They're saying your benefits are going to be suspended, or there's some type of fraud that's happening on your account, and then you need to make some type of payment to fix the issue. I'll just say this: anyone that calls you on I'll tell my mom, just don't even, if the number's not already saved in your phone, you don't have to answer it. And if you do answer it, don't relay any information. If it's important, they'll leave a message. If it was something important, they'll leave a message. You can determine if that message sounds like something that you want to inquire about, and then you can call them back. But don't feel compelled to answer the phone in the first place. They also pretend to be, so Medicare, they claim the benefits will be suspended, and then you're pressured to fix the issue. So the other one is the next one. Well, that's the Medicare one. I'm going to play this.
The top 3 phone impersonation scams involve Social Security, Medicare, and the IRS. And now one of those scams is on the rise. Jenna Sachs with the alert to seniors, all in this Context 6 report.
Tony Lupo in Greenfield.
Hello.
Prefers his flip phone to a smartphone.
I need it just for texting and making and getting calls.
It's a mistake to assume those who prefer using a simple device are simple-minded, as a scammer targeting seniors found out when he called Tony.
First he had said, "Did you receive your Medicare insurance card?" And I said, "Pardon me?" And he says, "Well, that red, white, and blue card."
There is no new Medicare card, and there hasn't been since 2018. That's when they stopped using Social Security numbers as Medicare numbers and switched to randomly generated digits.
But in that transition, a scam was born. And it's been coming in waves ever since.
Medicare scams are on the uptick.
Lisa Schiller of the Better Business Bureau says their scam tracker gets daily reports of the scam. What are callers after?
Personal information, Medicare numbers, your name, your birth date.
They are looking for that information so that they can submit fraudulent claims to Medicare.
Senior Medicare Patrol says scammers may tell members items like knee and back braces are covered in full. Then they'll charge Medicare for that device, plus other unsolicited equipment worth tens of thousands of dollars. Bottom line,
Medicare 99% of the time is never going to call people.
And don't trust the name or number on your caller ID. Those can be easily spoofed.
When he called, I knew it was a scam.
Tony asked the scammer for Medicare's phone number so he could verify it and call back.
He hung up on me.
You could say the fraudster folded. A 30-second conversation Tony is using to raise the alarm to other senior citizens.
I want them to be aware that this can happen to them.
I'm Jenna Sachs, Contact 6.
Thank you, Jenna. Wisconsin Senior Medicare Patrol says a third of their calls this year have been about that scam. It says Medicare will only call you if you call them first and give permission.
So that particular scam is more so them running up insurance charges. So I'm sure you all have seen different medical practices or equipment providers that will bill you for 10 pair of crutches or 5 wheelchair, and just billing the insurance. So that's more so that type of scam. It's still a scam, though. In most of those cases, the victim would probably be the government or the insurance, not necessarily the individual. Okay, so let's just kind of summarize. Pretend to be from Social Security, claiming the benefits are going to be suspended. Same thing, pressure to provide your Social Security number. Then the thing is, so the scammers will do bits and pieces. They might work and sell your information. They sell the information to each other. So they will share, your information. So people, you're getting hit from different angles, different types of fraud. So it's not necessarily just one linear fraud. Red flags, anything you have to pay immediately. I mean, that's probably the biggest red flag. Anything that you have to do right now, just pause. Call it your child, grandchild, nephew, niece. Talk to your partner, husband, wife. Anything you have to do right now is there are no emergencies, particularly with boomers, with folks, our senior population. Again, statistically, the senior population has the largest, the younger generation now has surpassed them. The generation X, one of them, I can't remember, like the 34 to 50, 49-year-old have surpassed the boomers, but in terms of wealth. But the boomers have a lot of wealth and a lot of smarts and pay all their bills for the most part at a much higher rate, have higher credit scores, so they are more sensitive to making sure that things are paid timely. So that's a trigger word. You owe somebody something, that will make a senior, start really, twitching. They don't want to owe anyone. So, anything immediate, that's red flag. So again, just remember that they never call the Medicare, Social Security, never call and ask for information. Hang up. And also too, don't call the number back that called you to try to verify, or don't accept the number that they give you as the number. Do your own research. I always say, if you experience some type of bank fraud or any type of fraud, pull out and you want to verify, pull out your credit card or your debit card and call the number on the back of that. Don't call the number that's in the email or the number that came on the text message. That's not necessarily the right number. In often cases, that's going to just redirect you back to a call center where they're going to talk and it'll sound and they'll say, you've reached, John Smith, ID number, employee ID, 56842B, and it will sound very legitimate, but it will not be. Okay, so this one is, kind of IRS and tax scam, impersonating IRS agents, claiming you owe back taxes, threatening, all types of things. Same thing, our elders are more susceptible to this just because of the nature of being more fiscally responsible. And then the ID, the caller ID might show up and say IRS on the caller ID, even though it may not, it likely won't be. Red flags, the text might say, or the phone calls might say they're going to suspend, you'll be arrested, and then they may want you to make payments with gift cards. These are, like I said, these are some Apple gift cards, but Amazon gift cards, same thing, but it's the same scam. You go to the store, you drive around, you spend $500 or $5,000, as much as you can get. You give them the number as soon as you get it, and within seconds that money's gone. So even if you went back to the store an hour later to try to get a refund, it's too late. Don't buy gift cards. Requests in crypto, they're kind of merging that. The crypto is not necessarily a scam, but just different ways to send them money. Bank transfer, fake emails with links. Don't click on links in your email or on your phone unless it's from someone that you know. And even then, I'll say, just to interject, so at our office, every few months, maybe every quarter, once a quarter, everyone or a bunch of people in our office get a text message from me that says it's for me, but it's a different number, and it says, hey, it's Melvin S. Yates II. You got a minute? Like it's not, it doesn't even sound like the way that I would say it. And then usually the response is something to the effect of, yeah, well, what do you need? And they say, well, I can't talk right now, but I can text. I need you to do me a favor and I'll pay you back on, I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. And it gets, and the agents will, some will call me on my cell phone directly, and others may just jump into action. Melvin asked, I'm going to jump. And so we've had to send out multiple, whenever that happens, we send out an email and a text message to everyone saying, hey, Melvin will never ask you to get any gift cards. Melvin will never ask you to, and if that was the case, it'd be a phone call, right? If I needed something, I'd call, not send a text. So same thing, IRS never calls, they never demand payment over the phone. And usually you'll get official notices by mail from the IRS. So different tech support, this is more of the Norton antivirus software, any type of tech support. Your computer has been compromised, email, we can fix it. There's no charge, or maybe there's a charge. Doesn't matter, click this link, or we can talk you through, or call this number, and they'll get you on the phone, and they're gonna basically use, GoToMeeting or WebEx or some software. They're gonna come into your computer and they'll search around, they'll dig around and see what they can find. But some type of pop-up saying your computer's infected. You've gotten those pop-ups, I'm sure, before, or something similar. And then they pretend to be, Apple, Microsoft, and then they want to do the remote access. Red flags, unsolicited phone calls or pop-ups, saying your computer has a virus. Anything you have to download or allow someone else to remote access. Even if that's the case, I'll say the same thing. Go back to your own files, call the number of the service provider directly, and ask for further information. Don't trust the email or the text message. And just legitimate companies don't pop up on your computer and ask for money. And just basically you close the pop-up, you restart your computer. And probably even maybe then go to Best Buy and have them check for viruses. Okay, so real estate reverse mortgage. These scams are more so, now I'll say these, I don't see these as much, but when you have free and clear homes, forging property documents, going to title companies, and transferring the deed of the house that you own, that does happen, but I don't see it that often, especially now because the title companies aren't really kind of onto some of the scams or most of the scams. They won't even accept now when you buy a house, you can't even pay. You used to be able to show up with a cashier's check. There was a time when you could write a personal check at settlement and $142,000 personal check or $142 or $500, and they would just verify with the bank that it was good and they would accept it. You would sign everything. Then they went to cashier's checks, but now the title companies won't even take cashier's checks. Everything has to be by bank wire to buy a house. They won't even accept. They won't accept a cashier's check more than like $1,000. If the numbers were a little off, you show up and you're a little short, they'll accept it that way. Yes.
About title. You keep seeing advertised, get title insurance so they can steal your title. So you're saying that's not a thing that's likely to be good?
Yeah, so title insurance is something that you buy when you first purchase the house. Title insurance only, I'm a licensed title agent, but so title insurance protects, just basically ensures that you own the property, that good deed was transferred. So it just makes sure that there are no liens up to that date when you go to settlement. Title insurance doesn't protect you tomorrow. It only protects up to the date of deed transfer in the past. Now, I've heard of people selling that insurance. I don't know enough about it, but it is any kind of insurance, like it's almost like the water pipe insurance. Any insurance that someone will sell you, they will sell you. It doesn't mean that it's fraud. It's just the likelihood of actually cashing in on that insurance that you pay for is very slim. That's what insurance is. They take the premium and they fight you when it's time to pay.
But it's not the insurance of it. Is it possible that somebody can take my home and get my title? That's what they're saying can happen.
It is possible, but it is very, very difficult. It is very difficult. Go ahead, Richard.
So what they're selling is like LifeLock. So LifeLock is a program of trying to see whether or not your social security number is on the web or wherever it is. The title what they're doing is the same exact thing. So they're saying that they will protect your
Oh, thank you.
Of LifeLock.
Yeah, it's just an add-on service. You know, it's a bundle in the package. I mean, LifeLock is a known brand, but it's just they can
It's
get.
an offshoot of that. So they're selling it totally separate, and they're saying that they would search anywhere to make sure that your title hasn't been compromised. So it's just another way to get money. But
Yeah, but it's not likely that insurance would be that you would use it, because it is very, very difficult for people to transfer deed to your property without your permission. Reverse mortgage, well, foreclosure rescue. Oh, yes.
So is it because of the state makes it difficult? Because it seems like in the state of North Carolina, someone can just give a lawyer and change the deed to say, okay, add this person, remove this person.
There will be variation state to state. I know in DC, Maryland, Virginia, I mean, I can't personally say that I've personally ever seen it myself, that someone's house was stolen from them. In other states, it could be more lenient, but that would come back to the attorney, right? If an attorney did it, then and the attorney didn't follow the proper channels, then that attorney would be, could potentially get in trouble. So anything stopping foreclosure in exchange for upfront fees, just different types of scams. Reverse mortgage is not really a scam, though the children of parents that give reverse mortgages always complain to me that they feel it's a scam. But just an overview of reverse mortgage for those that don't know. You refinance your house. Let's say you have a house you owe $200, it's worth $500. They'll give you $200,000 right now, or $150,000 right now, and you never have to make a payment again and it's legitimate, completely legitimate. You never have to make a payment again, and then as long as you're alive, you stay there for free. I think you just pay your taxes and your insurance. If a point in time comes when the owner becomes deceased, then the spouse can live there until he or she becomes deceased. And at that point, when both owners, become deceased, then the heirs of the property have 12 months to basically give the bank their money back and keep the house. So usually usually what happens is, if they can, they sell it, they pay the debt, and they take whatever's left. But keep in mind with the reverse mortgage, the interest, you're not making the payment, but the interest is compounding. So whatever your normal payment might be, that number is getting added to the principal balance every month that you're not making the payment, plus interest on top of last month's additional payment. So a lot of times in the reverse mortgage, I'll easily see sometimes where the house is worth $700,000, but they owe $800,000 to the bank. And so the children complain, because they're like, this was supposed to be our inheritance. And I was like, listen, this is, mom or dad, they lived their life. It was their house, they earned it, they paid for it, and they did what they wanted with it. And that's the end. So, yes?
So can you take the house out of reverse mortgage before?
Yes. Yes. At any point in time, you can give the bank their money in full, and that's just refinancing. You refinance with that same bank or a different bank, and bank A gets paid off, and then you get back into a traditional payment situation with bank B. So protecting yourself, again, just different ways. Checking your records, occasionally checking the tax record. If you're still getting a tax bill that's coming in your name, then then the house is still in your name. And there are official reverse mortgage lenders, if that was something you were considering. So use the HUD website to find those. The lottery scams, we talked about that a little bit. Claiming you won a lottery, you have to pay money in order to keep the lottery thing going, or to protect your investment or protect your winnings. You won what you needed. There's no lottery. I mean, if Publishers Clearinghouse comes to your door, you don't have to pay anything. You just win. You don't pay to win. And just keep in mind, if you didn't enter any contests, then it's hard to win. Like, what do they say? The DC lottery, you can't win if you don't play. If you don't play, you didn't win. So don't go for that. And any taxes that are owed, that's another one. They'll say that you have to pay the taxes. If that's the case, typically they deduct the taxes from the winning, so you're not paying taxes up front. This is sample text messages that you might see, saying that you won, and you have to do some number. Even just replying, there are different levels. Even if you reply for more information, that automatically will attract more interest from the scammers. They will start to, they will know that you're kind of on the hook a little bit, and they may dig deeper to try to scam you in different ways. If some of you guys may get the toll scams, so it's a really small number. They'll say you owe $5 in tolls, and it's only $5. You want to pay it real quick. Just click here and put your credit card in, or preferably your bank account, and then they'll just thank you for that. They'll take what's in there. Same thing with the credit card. They'll max it out. And protecting yourself and your loved ones. Verify before sending money. Again, call the official numbers. Never, remember Social Security, Medicare, never demand payment. Use strong passwords. Avoid wiring money or paying with gift cards. Don't ever do that. And just monitor your credit report regularly. If you have LifeLock or any type of TransUnion monitoring, you'll be fine. And now some of the newer scams, so these are newer in the past few years. Some of the AI, artificial intelligence scams, they can do, you guys have seen them, they've been doing deep fakes. I was expecting to get like the robocalls from the actual candidates. Some of you have heard those. It's in the candidate's likeness, and it sounds just like the candidates calling you to ask for your vote and have a full two-way conversation with you about why you are or are not voting, and then that information they're using to build their profile, and then know that people in this zip code have these type of objections. So it just makes them better. But in this particular case, it may sound like a loved one in distress. I have personally seen these. It'll sound just like the person, but it's not the person. It's AI, and they're asking for money, ask you to send money to a certain place. Don't do it. Always verify. If your daughter's upstairs in the back room, she's not going to be calling you saying that she's in jail in New Mexico and she needs you to wire. Yell upstairs and say, "You still up there?" And if she answers, then hang up the phone. All right.
Grandma Shirley says her nightmare started when her grandson's caller ID popped up on her phone. The 89-year-old heard her grandson's voice.
When you got this call and you thought it was your grandson, what was the person on the phone saying to you?
I broke my nose, and I have stitches inside my mouth. And I was upset, and I said, "What happened?"
Then she says another person, identifying himself as her grandson's attorney, told her grandson had been arrested for hitting another car and a pregnant woman. She was told pay $9,000 in cash and the charges would be dropped.
I just thought to myself, I have to keep myself calm enough to get my grandson out of jail.
The San Diego grandma went to the bank and is seen on ring cam video handing over $9,000 in cash to a man in a baseball cap. But then came another call, news about the pregnant woman and her baby.
And I have to tell you that the baby has died. And I became hysterical.
You must have been pretty scared, right?
Just terribly, terribly upset and actually scared at that point. I was scared for my grandson.
The caller demanded another $5,000 since the charges would now be more serious.
I'm not supposed to say anything to you, just thank you.
Yep, she paid up and was scammed again. She finally realized she'd been hoodwinked when she called her grandson and found out he was okay.
I was just humiliated. I was shamed. How could it possibly happen? I'm not supposed to say anything to you, just thank you.
This is some of the AI kind of deep fake.
Here's my plan to restore law and order in our cities and throughout our country, frankly. First, because this demonstration video has been crafted using the lip synthesis web application to illustrate just how effortlessly you can manipulate media. With lip synthesis, achieving seamless lip synchronization is as simple as 2 clicks.
It's real, guys. Yeah.
I hope you didn't show us that to feel sorry for you.
Really? So this is just closing out. Different hotlines. You can take a picture of this. Just different places to call if you suspect something, or if you, or even just want to ask questions or have a conversation. Definitely, but don't call the numbers back on the caller ID. Don't call the number that texts you or the email that came. Just call directly to the fraud hotline. The state and the city and the federal government has, at least as of this writing, they had these resources available. Hopefully they'll still be available. And I think that's it. No problem. Thank you.
I have a comment.
Yeah.
For example, if your family member calls, you think it's your family member that calls you and asks for money. How about having a special code for the family so that you can ask them what's the code?
That's a good idea. Having, code words, and then just call, saying, hanging up the phone and calling back directly, if you can. Now, where it gets tricky is when you try to call the son or the nephew or the grandson, they don't answer the phone. And then you're like, oh, then you start getting hysterical and want to hurry up and do the thing.
Right, but if the person says I'm your grandson and whatever, even this AI, they won't know what the code is.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea, sharing it, with it. Then you have to keep track of your codes though, and know that Susie has this code, Bobby has that code, but yes, that's a good idea. Any other questions or questions, feedback, comments? Okay, no problem. Thank you. And just one takeaway: don't be shamed. Don't be embarrassed. I mean, this is happening to everyone every single day. So, or not everyone, but a lot of people every single day. This type of fraud. Confide in your loved ones. Go to the police. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get your money back. And I think that's part of the reason why people may not even, because they figure the money's gone, I'm not getting it back. Why even report it? But it just can maybe help the next person. Just compile some data on a same number or same name that these things are coming from that may help someone else from getting defrauded in the future. So thanks, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.